So let's look at another example of a specific region and how food production started there. So we're talking about Southwest Asia, which includes the so-called Fertile Crescent, which always comes up when we discuss the evolution of agriculture. So early farming sites in Southwest Asia, Europe, and the Nile Valley. So this is the region here, typically the entire Tigris, Mesopotamia, Levant, and so on are discussed in this context. Events and innovation in Southwest Asia and Anatolia from 12,000 to 4,000 BC are summarized here. So we are looking at Southwest Asia, the stages, Anatolia, and the innovations. Just a nice depiction. I'm using this book basically because it provides many such graphics which I find convenient to add as additional information for the other, as a supplement to the other book. Okay, so strong winds there, but hopefully the recording is okay. The Kedaran culture went from 12,000 to about 9,000. So should I try to figure out where that is? It's somewhere here. Okay, da-da-da. Yeah, I should have looked up before doing that, but nonetheless, Abu Hurayra, Jarf al-Mar, Natufian that we talked about before, Jericho, which is very much in the Levant, so the Israel, Syria, Jordan region, Abu Hurayra, Ganj Dareh, so these are the lowlands and eastern Mediterranean, and these are the highlands, Jarmo. So you can see the timelines changing here over since the since the end of the last glacial. So this is before the Younger Dryas and into the Holocene. So the stages here include the archaic Neolithic and later Neolithic. Remember that the Stone Age lasts from literally millions of years ago into the Holocene before the Bronze Age and the Iron Age. Okay, so in Anatolia you have Kayonu, I'm not even sure how it's pronounced, Gobekli Tepe and Hasilar and Kataloyuk, with the innovations coming along, intensive foraging, domestic cereals, domestic sheep and goats. We've already looked at some domestication timelines, and we will look at more as appropriate. More long distance exchange. So domestication of animals would have helped here to travel on horsebacks or donkeys and so on, but also to carry material, loads of grains or other materials forward and backward, or buy things and move them back. And of course pottery evolved much more recently, and copper working evolved as well. So those would have played an important role. So just to summarize this short introduction, Southwest Asia was cool and dry immediately after the Ice Age, with dry steppe over much of the interior. Human populations were sparse and highly mobile as forests spread more widely throughout the region. The Younger Dryas cold snap began in about 10,800 BC and lasted for a little over 1,000 years. Prolonged droughts and cooler conditions over southwestern Asia caused significant drops in environmental productivity, which still continues. This region is basically desert or Mediterranean climate. Hunter-gatherer societies had three options: move elsewhere, protect their territory, or stay in place and intensify the food quest, also cultivating wild cereals. Many groups chose to experiment with agriculture. Basically, once you begin settling down and putting structures, building settlements, you are obliged to try to manage the climate changes, environmental changes in place, because it's hard to get up and move like hunter-gatherers who did it in smaller bands of order 100 people, whereas these would be few thousands to tens of thousands of people depending on the specific structure. The PPNA saw extensive experimentation with cultivation and increase in trade and exchange with the beginning of distinctive religious beliefs. So I have somebody at the door to answer this, so let me pause. Okay, sorry about that. This is the problem of recording at home. Cleaning people and so on, or delivery boys come and knock. Where was I? Okay. Hunter-gatherer societies had three options. We talked about it. PPNA is the pre-pottery Neolithic site A and pre-pottery Neolithic site B here. PPNA saw extensive experimentation with the cultivation, an increase in trade and exchange, and the beginnings of distinctive religious beliefs. So cultural evolution, social complexification, hierarchies, trading become necessary when you have, let's say, a lot of wheat, but you need other things like spices, rice, etc. Then you start to trade. PPNB saw full-fledged farming well established over a wide area with extensive trade and interaction networks. So infrastructure of various kinds would have been coming into effect as well with technologies and domesticated animals. Herding was well established somewhat earlier in the Zagros highlands, where Anatolia was inhabited by farming communities linked by long-distance exchange routes handling obsidian and other exotica by at least 9500 BC. Some pre-pottery Neolithic settlements boasted of larger structures which served both as dwellings and as shrines for rituals involving relationships with ancestors and other themes. So we are going now from shamanism into a bit more of an organized religion. So that has to be noted here as well. Some like Göbekli Tepe in southwestern Turkey, which is the Anatolia region, had substantial subterranean structures adorned with richly decorated monoliths, perhaps symbolic representation of humans. Once you begin into these religious beliefs and communication with ancestors, then you begin to do these things of mummifying underground tombs with gold and their pets being buried together, and so on and so forth. Katalehuik, I don't know how it's pronounced, a large village on the central Anatolian plateau, was a crowded settlement first occupied around 7500 BC. Some of its dwellings have been named history houses, as they appear to commemorate ancestors and be associated with widely used religious beliefs common at the time over much of South Asia. So we'll go forward with this chapter with other podcasts in the Holocene period and look at various civilizations. By the way, obsidian is just a naturally occurring volcanic glass which was used for various ornaments, tools, rituals, and so on and so forth. Okay, just shows you innovations along the way. Pottery came, of course, with ability to master fire and bake things, cook things, and so on and so forth. Okay,